Hello, my people. Welcome back. It's been a while that I had something to say for 3, 4, 5 minutes, but today I want to do something a bit differently because I've been listening to people, I've been reading from people, talking and discussing various types of visas, and you actually know that Australia has a whole lot of visas that they give out to people. They could be permanent, they could be temporary residency visas, they could be student visas, graduate visas, visitor visa. A whole lot of them could be the ones for your parents, spousal visas, loads and loads and loads. But the one I really want to dwell on today is that temporary skill shortage visa, and it is called Visa 482. Visa 482 has been in existence for quite a while, and it's to recruit people into those areas where there are shortages of employees. And so they use that visa to bring people from overseas or people who are already in, but do not have visas to stay, or who desire to have that kind of visa to stay and work within the country called Australia. Now, there are lots of beautiful things about it. Like if you need a visa, you get it if your occupation is in any of those that they actually need people to work in. Then employers could possibly reach out to you if you put on your CV, maybe on LinkedIn, on Indeed, on Glassdoor, or just seek.au or seek.com, wherever the name is, Jora Jobs. There are loads and loads of places you can actually find Australian employers or agencies that are recruiting for employers that could possibly reach out to you if your situation, if your CV displays what they need. Now, this particular Visa 482, you must be in that profession where they need the skill before you could be invited to take up an interview, and then you could be possibly offered that. Beautiful if you really desire to be in Australia, to come over to work. Some people just want to come on temporary basis. They don't want to just come on just any visa, but they want that temporary skill visa to work in here. You know, some people come or on work visas from those countries that are quite related to them, and they grant them those work visas for a while. Some people may say, okay, we want to kuku stay for a long while, because on this visa you can stay for 4 years. People are Hong Kong country people can stay on that visa in Australia for 5 years. You can move in and out of the country within the period that your visa covers, as long as your visa is still viable or still still alive. I'm looking for the right word to use. As long as your visa is still very much in date, you can go in and out of the country at will, not at the detriment of your employer's jobs or at the detriment of your role anyway. And you may be able to switch that visa to permanent residency visa, which is Visa 186. You must have been in the profession where they are recruiting to and be working in that profession for at least 2 to 3 years before you'll be considered for that role. And if the role requires you to have a skill assessment done, you must have had a positive skill assessment in your area of studies and area of practice before that employer would want to offer you that job. And there must be a labor agreement too, that okay, we've put up this job outside there on various sites for how many days, but we couldn't get anyone to apply for it, but we saw this one who is from another nation, and we are happy because they have the skill set that we need to fill into this job. Now that's beautiful. Let's assume all that going on, you've passed through all those stages and you've gone for your interview and you've been offered the job, and they are doing your pre-employment checks referencing and all those ones, know that Australia doesn't joke with their referencing. Once you are done with your interview and they said they would like you to pass to them your referees names, they know that they are very happy to have you for that job. So they will do the reference. But then there are things you must take note. What is the future of you coming on that visa? Assuming you are in a country that is a bit stable than other places that are not, I don't want to mention names of countries that are not stable, because this stability is relative. What I may tag stability to a country may be something else to another country. But let's assume that you are in that country where you actually really you desire to move sharp. Then you may consider this if someone calls you for it. But if you are in a place where there is a lot of, not so much concerns like some other places, security wise, you are not being threatened, you can feed yourself very well, you have shelter on your head, you have clothes on you, you can feed your family well, but maybe you are thinking you are not saving enough, or you are thinking your work is too stressful. If you are close to getting permanent residency in that country, say you have 2.5 years to go, or you have 2 years to go, or 1 year or 1.5 years, I personally will advise you to just stay put and get your permanent residency in that country. But still, this too will still be your decision. It's not me making that decision for you. It's not me forcing my ideology or my idea or my knowledge or my exposure or my experience or the hearsays on you. It's for you to make that decision that, okay, I don't want to jump out again. Maybe you are in a country where you are on a work visa and you are getting closer to getting your permanent residency. I will counsel that you please stay, get it, instead of jumping on 482, because 482, you have to stay on that visa for at least 2 years with your employer, and you can only work in that employment that you've been employed for. Maybe not necessarily with one employer, but then that employer where you must switch to permanent residency, you must have been with them for 2 years. So you must be with your employer for 2 years before you can switch to 180. Then you start weighing, what if this employer after 2 years is not willing? Or what if they change their mouth? What if they change their decision? What if things happen in the country? You know, these countries, they sit down and do meeting today, do meeting tomorrow, and they change things. What if anything happens and the situations change and they say they should not give permanent residency through this temporary residency pathway that you are in? You should ask yourself that question. You should be very truthful to yourself that you are very much ready to face it on and face everything that comes with it. All I'm praying is that you enjoy good in it by God's special grace. But sometimes, because we are human beings, we tend to be apprehensive about situations, especially if there had been people that had some nasty experiences. Take, for instance, if you are working on temporary residency visa and your employer is coming around to be not so wonderful, I won't expect an employer that spent some things to help someone to get in to be very useless. Of course, there could be periods of conflict which should be resolved reasonably, but what if they are not as kind? What if they are not so concerned about your well-being? They just want you to labor on. Then it's now like two months to fulfill the 2 years, and they now come around with this, and for this reason and this reason and this reason, we'll not be able to give 186. What will you do then? So you have to ask yourself a whole lot of questions before you put your egg into this basket of visa 482. But if there are no choices, or if you've prayed, because some people would have discussed this with God and they are very sure God is saying go ahead, in such situations people can move, and you just see that special things start happening, and then they are favored here, favored there, and even before the 2 years, maybe the employer would say, maybe I'm so much happy to have this person, then I will fight for 186 once they are about 1 month to complete the 482. That is someone who is very sure, and maybe they have prayed through, and your skill is bam bam full ground like that. So please and please and please put this on scale, and you know, you can get that visa 186 if you haven't clocked 45 when you will complete your time on visa 482. So you must be less than 45 years to apply for visa 180. So if you are 43 already and you are stepping into getting 482, or maybe you are 44 already and you are stepping into getting 482, you may actually be lucky too, because some employers still do they still have some other agreement they can make with the labor management team, and they can give them that opportunity to sponsor people who are older than 45. But you know, at this point, your mind might not be so much at rest as it should be, like if you are on permanent residency, or if you are where you are very sure that you are facing the time that you will now be in your permanent residency. One thing again about this visa 482 is that I know that most of your Medicare, you'll be taking care of them. Nobody prays to be healed. I pray none of us will be sick anyway, but you can actually work around that, getting insurance for your health care, booking, registering for ambulance services, insurance, and all those things. You can put in for all those things to help you to cushion the effects of any healthcare need that may arise to you or any member of your family while you are around doing your work. So you have to really someone said it's a game of patience. Is it that you are patient where you are and you are about getting that permanent residency, or you move on if you are sure that God is leading you, and be very, very patient. In both situations, like the counsel that person gave, I'm sorry to use the word that one. The counsel that person gave is the person need to be patient. Is it that you are patient where you are to get what your desire, like reach out to getting your permanent residency where you are if you are possibly on work visa in another country, or you come around and be extremely patient with your employer. That is to say, sometimes must be a mumara. Like if the if the masquerade farts inside their garments, then you know the wind will not blow it with so much. So it's the masquerade that will be enjoying the aroma of the fat at that particular point in time. But then, who says what? You may just come and you will be the desire of everyone around you, and they are just loving you and your employer, your co-workers, your colleagues, your people, your community people, and they might be the one that will even be shooting DHA that we want this person to have that permanent residency. But just know that these countries are countries of rules, laws, policies, sponsoring bills, this, bills, that. And so please, while you are thinking of taking up or taking on that visa 482 journey, look at all these things very, very well. We've had occasions where people came around on permanent residency visas, but their employers were turning around, being bitter against them. It was easy for them to move because their visa allows that. But if you don't have a visa that allows you such freedom of movement, I know you can change your employers these days, like what they are saying. And this visa 482, they said by November this year, they are going to change the time you can get through to 180s on that to just 1 year. So if it is just going to be 1 year and you are lucky to get an employer that is good to have you on board, please fire on. But make sure that whatsoever is on your mind, you air it respectfully to that employer, so that you will strike and sign an agreement that at so time your permanent residency visa will be given to you. And when you come to, you must show yourself as someone that deserves that visa 186. So I pray God will help every one of you. To me, if I have all other options, that would possibly be the last option I will look at. But for people who possibly may not have myriads of options, it is still the one that we say half a loaf is better than nothing. It is still half kuli kuli is better than one single seed of groundnut. So I wish everyone good luck in our quest for making our lives and the lives of our family members better. I'm sorry if there were things I said here that you were not happy with. Please do ask questions. It is very, very essential that you ask questions. There are people on different platforms that will be very happy to respond to your questions that you ask or you may want to ask on this channel. There are people that are much more experienced than myself in terms of migration and things that are involved, Australian migration, that will be very much willing to grant you their advice so that you will make the best of choice. I wish you well. I wish you success. I wish you God's favor in all your endeavors and in every way, every day of your life. Thank you guys. See you later. Bye.